Now, advertising in general is designed for a specific purpose, and that is to get an audience to part with money, usually to buy product. Now, in the case of charity advertising, it's not to get us to buy a product, it is to get us to buy into an ideology, to get to buy into a set of beliefs and a set of values that will encourage you to part with your money and to convince you that it is a worthwhile thing to do. So charity adverts perhaps have it a little bit tougher than adverts that offer you a product in return for your money. However, they do appeal to this altruistic need for us to be seeming like we're doing something. So we could perhaps apply this to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where obviously, if we have one layer sorted, if we have got a home, if we've got security, then we could progress to the next level. And that's how these adverts work, by saying, look, making a comparison of our lives in relation to the lives of the people or the animals who are the subject of the advert. So that's established the purpose and some of the previous tactics of charity advertising. However, WaterAid approaches things in a slightly different manner, as we've discussed, and we've used this word subverts before because we've talked about how it doesn't follow some of the conventions of a stereotypical charity advert. For one thing, it's more upbeat. It's not a sob story, it's not somebody who's really suffering. And actually that serves to capture our attention because we may have become desensitised to some of these images. We may say, well, this is a narrative that we've seen before and it doesn't have an impact in the same way anymore. So WaterAid, instead of beginning with the problem, it starts by telling us the solution, what the money that has been donated has gone to achieve. So we're introduced to this character, Claudia. We've got the mise-en-scène of the dusty environment, the hot country, but then we have this kind of surprising image of a community gathering to get water, so something that, fundamental part of humanity, human life, and she doesn't appear miserable. She appears upbeat, she's singing Sunshine on a Rainy Day, and the connotations of this song that actually this community have been helped out, and maybe previous advertising has worked and has enabled them to make sure that they have water. So it's not a sad story. This narrative is upbeat. This narrative is supposed to be us, the audience, walking alongside Claudia as she makes her way to the water source. Yes, it's different in approach. Yes, it subverts the norms that we expect to see, but actually what it does still make the comparison, the them and us comparison. So it begins actually the establishing shot. You've got your radio on the work surface in a kitchen of what is obviously a British house. The weather reporter is talking, about how it's just going to keep on raining. So we have this contrast that is built, but it's built in a way that we're not expecting. It is subversive of the usual narrative. So we've gone from rainy Britain to sunny Africa. We're walking alongside Claudia as she makes her way to the source of the water. It's colourful, it's energetic. There's some intertextuality there because it's using a song from the 90s, Sunshine on a Rainy Day, popular song that will resonate with the target audience. It's something that they remember. That's how we can place this target audience as being somewhere between the ages of 25 and 40 because of that song. And then finally we have the codes and conventions of the charity advert that we recognise, and we recognise the please donate to use this number, change somebody's life. The end screen of a charity advert that we that we recognise from previous charity adverts that we've seen, but perhaps it doesn't leave such a bitter taste in our mouth, and perhaps we're not going to donate out of guilt, and it's not going to have this sort of short-term effect like other charity adverts do, where we might donate because we feel bad one day, but then the next day we'll stop the donations because we've forgotten the advert. In actual fact, this advert is trying to have a lasting impact on the audience. So what theories could we apply to this? Well, the obvious one is Stuart Hall's reception theory. How are we accepting the messages that are given in this advert? The dominant reading is obviously that we are expected to be impacted by Claudia's story, and we're expected to buy into this ideology, and we're expected to feel a sense of of pride that something has actually been done to help this community, and we want to feel a part of that. We want to be the community. We want to we want to help the progress of this community. So that's the dominant reading. That's what we're supposed to feel like. We're not supposed to feel guilty. We're supposed to feel like helping may be a positive thing to do. That's how it's so subversive. That's how it stands out as so different. The negotiated reading is perhaps that we would just treat it like every other charity advert and say, well, them and us. Yeah, here we are, there they are, and yeah, it's positive. It's a good thing that they've been helped, but perhaps it doesn't apply to me. That might be the case if you don't recognise the song that's going on in the background. That might be the case if you are not the desired target audience. And the oppositional reading is that actually you kind of think, well, they're okay. This community, they're not struggling anymore, so perhaps they don't need my help. It's a celebratory advert. It's one that shows that, charity has happened, and I don't need to donate. The other theory that we could apply is Gerbner's theory of cultivation. Now, this would apply to charity adverts in general. So the cultivation is where the media will grow an idea because we see it again and again and again. And like I was saying before, we do see charity adverts quite a lot of the time. We do recognise the codes and conventions that go along with charity advertising. We've become so accustomed to them, they've grown, that actually maybe they've stopped having this impact. So when we recognise a few codes and conventions, but something surprises us, perhaps the ideas grow even further. And really, you're looking at this for key concepts as well. You're looking at things like the contrasting mise-en-scène, so looking at the contrast between rainy Britain and sunny Africa. We're thinking about binary oppositions. We're thinking about our lives in comparison to the lives of these people in this community, and with the exclusion of any kind of Western character, we place ourselves as the comparison, if you like. And lastly, thinking about ways in which water aid would be shared amongst audiences. Convergence is your key theory here in terms of thinking about sharing on social media. Particular humanitarian groups would share via Twitter. It may be that an individual is impacted enough to share something like Facebook, and that's really how the word is spread about charities.